Apple just released their best valued laptop in a decade with the new M4 MacBook Air. Not only does it pack incredible power and battery life into a thin and lightweight design, but it fixes so many issues with the early M series MacBook Airs, and Apple also dropped the price by $100, making this laptop start at $1,000 even with 16 gigabytes of memory. However, even though this M4 MacBook Air looks like the perfect value, that doesn't mean there isn't like another laptop you should consider, because late last year, Apple also updated their entry-level MacBook Pro, and even though both of these laptops have the same M4 chip, there are some big differences that you need to know about before you order your next laptop, and trust me, you'll want to stick around for the end. All right, guys, before I jump into this video has no sponsor today, so if you want to help the channel out, I only ask two things. Number one, just subscribe or like this video, and number two, if this buyer's guide helps you out, just consider using my affiliate links in the description to purchase your MacBook. That's it, that's all you have to do. So thank you so much, and let's get into it. And full disclosure, I do not have the M4 MacBook Air in yet, but because this laptop is using the same design and using the same chip that I already used in the M4 MacBook Pro and the M4 Mac Mini and the M4 iMac, so many M4 Macs at this point, I think I can make some fair assumptions and evaluations about this MacBook Air and the things you have to look out for before you order one. Let's just say, I got a lot of experience. This isn't my first time. Now, first of all, one of the major differences between these two laptops is how they're designed. This is the easiest thing to see, right? The new sky blue color on the M4 MacBook Air is great, and the M4 MacBook Pro doesn't have it. And you can also get it in Starlight, Midnight, or Classic Silver, whereas the MacBook Pro, it only comes in two boring colors. You can either get it in Space Black or in silver. Now, realistically, the M4 MacBook Air has a different design, right? It's a thinner and lighter laptop compared to the M4 MacBook Pro. Now, while both of these laptops are travel friendly, the Air is just a little bit easier to fit into smaller bags and weighs 2/3 of a pound less than the MacBook Pro. However, the Pro's slightly bigger design does come with some benefits. Number one, it has a larger 14.2-inch display compared to the Air's 13.6-inch display, so you do get a little extra room for Windows on the MacBook Pro. Although, to be fair, the Air is offered in two sizes, a 13-inch and this one, the 15-inch model. And the 15-inch model still weighs less than the 14-inch MacBook Pro, so it's still a great travel laptop if you need an even bigger display. Now, while yes, theoretically, the M4 MacBook Pro does have an even bigger size at 16 inches, you can only get that configuration with an M4 Pro or an M4 Max chip, and that drives the starting price up to $2,500. So it's very expensive. Now, while we'll save the real price breakdowns towards the end of this video, this is all just to say I am not including the 16-inch comparison in this video because it's just not in the same bracket as these lower cost MacBooks, which all share a price of $1,600 or lower. The M4 MacBook Air is $1,000, okay? You could get two of them and a half for the same price as a 16-inch MacBook Pro. I don't know who's gonna sell you half a MacBook Air, but if you know them, send them my way, because I'll buy it. So yes, you can actually get a bigger display on the Air for less money than a Pro, but it's not going to be a better display. That's because both MacBook Airs have a standard LCD display that gets up to 500 nits of brightness and runs at 60 Hertz. It is a fine display. I think Apple LCD displays look good, but it isn't as good as the mini LED displays that you can get on the MacBook Pros. They have double the brightness, even in SDR, and these displays are capable of dimming in zones, so they can reach peak brightness levels of up to 1600 nits during HDR video playback. And because the backlight can dim in zones, it also means you have better black levels. So you actually see black on the screen rather than what looks like washed out gray. And the MacBook Pro also gets a faster 120 Hertz refresh rate, which just makes everything look smoother. The MacBook Pro also has a $150 optional nano texture display upgrade option, which helps reduce glares and bright light. Not sure why this isn't an option on the new MacBook Air, considering it's super portable. You figure some people would probably use this laptop outside, so it's a shame that it's not on the new MacBook Air, and it might be a consideration for you. Now, besides the display, because the MacBook Pro is significantly thicker than the Air, it does also get a better 6-speaker sound system, while the MacBook Air only has a 4-speaker system. This is one of the hidden highlights of the MacBook Pro in my opinion. These speakers sound good enough to fill a small room with clear sound and a pretty impressive bass, especially for laptop speakers. While the Air speakers, I mean, they do sound better on the 15-inch, but especially on the 13-inch, they sound really muffled and tinny in comparison.
Take me down.
Now, while there are differences like these, there's also a lot of similarities between both laptops because they both now have the same 12 megapixel center stage webcam, which also includes a desk view mode. They can both have the same M4 chips and even the same configurations for memory and storage, and both laptops can now connect to 2 external monitors while also being able to still use the built-in display at the same time, which is one of the big limitations Apple fixed with these M4 models. The M1 and M2 could only connect to 1 external monitor, and the M3 could connect to 2 external monitors if these display lids were closed. But you don't have to deal with that on the new M4 MacBook Airs or MacBook Pro. There's no compromise. Now, even though both of these laptops can connect to multiple monitors, there's still a few advantages that the Pro has. The biggest is that it has more ports because the Air only has a MagSafe charger connection and a 3.5mm headphone jack with 2 Thunderbolt USB-C ports. The MacBook Pro gets all of those ports, plus it gets 1 more Thunderbolt port on the right side and an HDMI port, making it easier to connect to multiple monitors, and it also has an SD card slot for importing photos and videos. And yes, like I covered, both of these laptops have the same powerful M4 chip. However, the MacBook Air is a fanless design. Now, this actually has one major advantage over the Pro, and that is no matter how much you stress this machine out, no matter what you're doing on it, it will never make a sound. It is silent. So if you're in a classroom or a work meeting or recording audio in a studio or something like that, no one's ever gonna hear your laptop fans. And honestly, that is some major peace of mind. Now listen, honestly, it's not like the M4 MacBook Pro fans are loud either, and chances are they're not really gonna spin up in most use cases, but there is the possibility that if you are doing something more intensive, something more demanding, you may hear them spin up. However, it is for a good reason, because if your laptop is getting hot, well, the MacBook Pro can cool that M4 chip so it does not throttle. Basically meaning that if you're doing intensive work like exporting a video or transcoding media or even playing a game, people do that on the Mac, right? Well, you will get better and more stable performance on the MacBook Pro. Now, for most daily tasks like web browsing, watching video, emailing, spreadsheets, notes, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, both of these laptops, they're gonna perform pretty much exactly the same. But one more benefit is the MacBook Pro. It does have a bigger battery in it. So on the base model 14-inch version, Apple says you can get a maximum of a full 24 hours of battery life, whereas on the 13-inch MacBook Air, you get 18 hours of battery life. And no, stepping up to the 15-inch version does not get you more battery life. It's still the same 18 hours of battery life. But either way, both of these laptops are going to get you through a whole day without having to reach for a charger. So that leads to the main question here. Should you buy the M4 MacBook Air at just $1,000, or should you spend $600 more for the MacBook Pro? Well, let's be fair to the MacBook Pro because it does have an M4 chip with 2 more GPU cores, and it starts with 512 gigabytes of storage, and the Air only has 256 gigabytes, which is pretty low on a laptop. Upgrading the Air to the same specs brings the price to $1,200, which still isn't bad, and that means that the Pro is now $400 more than the Air. So it's still a pretty steep price increase to step up to the Pro. So you really have to ask yourself, do you want the specific benefits on the MacBook Pro? And I would really say that price increase only makes sense if you want a better looking display or need more ports or need a combination of factors like more ports and slightly better performance. If you don't need or don't care about those things, well, you should skip the MacBook Pro and really just pick up a MacBook Air. It's a no-brainer at its new price point. And while I have been hesitant to recommend this larger size MacBook Air in the past before because the price difference between the 15-inch Air and 14-inch MacBook Pro used to only be $100, this time it's a $200 difference for the 15-inch Air. So even this laptop ends up being a much better value now. So if you want a larger display and still want to save money over the Pro, the 15-inch Air with the same specs makes a lot of sense. Now, that is true, and it might be true by the time you're watching this video, but one benefit that the M4 MacBook Pro has going for it is that It's older. It's been out since October, which means that if you shop around by clicking my link below, it's an affiliate link, but you can find the MacBook Pro on sale right now for $1,400 on Amazon. And that's with the 512 gigabytes of storage. So the Air is still cheaper, but $1,400 for a MacBook Pro is hard to pass up, in my opinion. That is a pretty clear buy. I don't know how long that sale will last. I don't know if I can always recommend that, but hey, check around and see. Maybe you can find a MacBook Pro on a discount. All right, so there you have it. Apple now has a great lineup of laptops, even at their lower end. There's really no tricks or gotchas this time, with the exception of the storage on the base MacBook Air. It's a little low, but other than that, I really feel like now is a great time to buy a new MacBook. The M4 generation really delivers on value above all else. And that's true if you're buying an M4 MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro. There is no wrong laptop to buy here. All right, I hope you liked this video. I hope it helped you out in deciding between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. If it did, please leave me a like, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one.